Hey everybody, it is Emily Breyer with Claim Brilliance. I am so excited to be doing this training today. I'm going to start by just making sure everything is working well and sharing my screen. All right, here we go. So, move me out of the way. All right, just details, all the time details. Okay, good afternoon. I am super excited to be talking about integrity and self-worth. This has been on my mind a lot lately. Just with being sick and then coming back and doing and not doing things that I have told myself and other people that I would or wouldn't do, and then kind of getting out of a funk, if you will. And what happens when we are out of integrity with ourselves? So first, I'm going to go ahead and go to the second screen. All right. So there are a few ways in which we are we have integrity, and that is how we think, how we feel, how we speak, and how we act. These are all ways in which we communicate either with ourselves or with other people. And what happens is when you tell yourself, I'm going to go with yourself because a lot of times we think that we have a high level of integrity. I like to view myself as a person who has a high level of integrity. And yet there are times where I am out of integrity with myself. I'll tell myself things like, I'm going to exercise today, or I'm going to meditate, or I'm going to read, and all of these different things that we tell ourselves, and then we don't make or find the time to do them. And this really affects how we view our own self-worth. So self-integrity is just that. Integrity are your core values. And when you are out of integrity, and I'm going to go a lot with self-integrity because that, I think, is a huge problem that we have with ourselves in this day and age, is that we are not in integrity with ourselves. With other people, it's so easy to say, yeah, and be the yes man. And then we don't make time for ourselves. So it's time to start saying yes to ourselves. So this is what happens when we say things that we are going to do, and then we don't do them, our integrity with ourselves goes down. Okay. And then our self-worth also goes down. It is hard, if not impossible, to have a high self-worth, how you think, how you feel, how you speak, how you act to yourself, if you're not keeping the promises that you make to yourself. And if you don't keep the promises which you make to yourself, this star right here represents a goal. And a goal is just a direction in which you want to go, right? And so when we say yes to ourselves, and then we don't act on what we said yes to, then our self-worth, the value that we put on ourselves, goes down. You can't have a high self-worth and not high integrity. They go hand in hand. And so it's really important that if you want to have high self-worth, where you have a high self-esteem, that's another word for self-worth, is how you value yourself. Self-worth means how you value yourself. And you cannot have high integrity with oneself and high self-worth. Can you have some self-worth? Yes, you can have some self-worth if you keep promises to other people. So you can have self-integrity and have it like middle range and still think highly of yourself, like value yourself. But you only can serve, love, and act in accordance to how you feel about yourself. And so you can't love someone more than you love yourself. So however you feel about yourself is the capacity in which you can serve and love other people. I want that to really sink in. How you feel about yourself, how you feel about yourself is the highest level of capacity that you are able to love, serve other people. So, when you have a high self-integrity, you then have a high self-esteem. You have high self-worth. Do you have to be the greatest at everything that you do in order to have a good self-esteem and a high self-worth? Not at all. Not at all. Think about babies and little kids. If you ask them, hey, so-and-so is dancing ballerina. How many 3-year-olds, if you went into a classroom, would say, oh, I can do ballet too? And how many would say, no, I can't do that. I just can't do that. It is because children have a high self-worth because they have high self-integrity. If they're hungry, they're not going to say, oh, I'm going to deny myself because I'm on a diet. If they feel like dancing, they dance. If they feel sad, they cry. They don't deny themselves the things that they are feeling, the things that they say they want to do, even if they're not good at it, even if they're not the best at it, they are still going to have a high self-worth. If they didn't, they wouldn't cry when they're tired. They wouldn't cry when they're hungry. They wouldn't laugh when they're feeling silly. They wouldn't run around like ballerinas and I don't know, cowboys and Indians if they didn't feel like doing that. They don't deny themselves. And so their worth is high. As we grow up, we put limitations upon ourselves. And then we tell ourselves we're going to do something, and then we don't act on those things. And so our self-integrity, integrity to ourselves, goes down. And because our integrity with ourself goes down, our self-worth goes down. And when our self-worth goes down, guess what happens to our goals? As faith-based women, we should have a higher standard for ourselves and a higher standard of what we tell ourselves we're going to do. Okay, so I have some secrets for you guys to do. Secrets to leveling up your self-worth. I love this. This is one of my very, very, very favorite things to talk about, is to make yourself a to-be list. This is not a to-do list. Who do you want to become? Write a list of who you want to become. We all have duties. We all have things that we need to do, a to-do list. But not very many people that I talk to and I coach has a to-be list. So create a to-be list. What do you want to have happen in your life? What are some actions that you can take to get to where you want to be, to who you want to be? This is going to level up your self-worth. Don't set times on this to-be list, just actions. So some of the things that I put on my list is to move my body. Now, I do not put move my body for 20 minutes. If I don't have 20 minutes and I only have 5 minutes, I don't want to be out of integrity with myself. And so I don't put a time. If I say I'm going to meditate, that might just be a 1-minute meditation. And then I can check that box off. And I know that I am in integrity with myself because I did something that only took a minute, 30 seconds, 5 minutes. And if you have a whole hour to meditate or to move your body, then great. That is wonderful. What kind of a surroundings do you want to have in your home? Is it clean? Put that on a to-be list. If you want to level up something in your life, then put that on the to-be list. And then track what you tell yourself you're going to do. Sorry, my eye itches. Tell yourself, track what it is that you say you're going to do. So if you put meditation on a list and you say you're going to do that from Monday to Saturday or from Monday to Sunday, then track, put a little check mark next to Monday. And if you don't do it, don't mark it. Then if you don't mark it, you can assess why. This is not giving excuses. This is being accountable. Why didn't you? Why did you choose not to do the meditation or the breathing exercises or the movement or the cleaning or evaluate or go over what happened that day. Write out what it is that happened so that you can hold yourself accountable to what happened. And then apologize. Apologize to yourself. Apologize to your God, the universe, whatever it is. Apologize to yourself and apologize to your higher power that you missed it. And then evaluate what you can change the next day. Start with small steps. For a while, I was putting on my to-be list dancing. Why dancing? Number one, it was moving my body. Number two, it made me happy. Number three, I would do it in the privacy of my own bedroom so I could move authentically without embarrassment. And sometimes it was I had 3 songs, and sometimes it was for the whole 3 songs, and sometimes it was just for 1 song, but small and baby steps. If your house is a colossal disaster, sorry, but if it is, mine used to be, I will take full responsibility. I am a homeschool mom. And when all of my kids were at home, my house was a disaster. And I take responsibility for that. My level of cleanliness was not to the standard it is now. And my kids are older, so my priorities were lower. Anyways, don't take offense. It's just an example. But if your house is a colossal mess, like mine used to be when I had little kids, to say that you're going to have every single room clean by the end of the day, it's just too much. So maybe you go out and you clean the car, or you clean under your bed, or you clean out the sink. And you can make that area to the standard that you want your whole house to be. And then you work little by little. Don't try to take huge chunks. Don't say you're going to bench press 200 pounds when you can't even lift the bar. Again, this is my own experience. The bar is like 60 pounds and I had a hard time even lifting the bar. Don't take huge, gigantic steps. If you want to run a marathon, you start with running. When I started running, I was only literally able to run for about 13 to 15 seconds. And every day I would say, this is my life now, And that every day I do this, I will get faster and I will get stronger and I will be able to run faster and longer. But it was a day by day, by day, by day, small steps every single day. And then I would celebrate. That's another thing that I didn't put on here, but celebrate your wins. Man, if you got out and you moved your body and you said you were going to, congratulations. That is something to be so proud of. So proud of. All right. The next thing is create declarations. What do you say to yourself in the mirror? This is so important because so many times we are not nice to ourselves. And when you're not nice to yourself, what do you expect your self-worth is going to be like? So here's a tip. Look yourself in the mirror every single day and name 5 things that you like about yourself. Every day, 5 things. I like my eyes. I like my hair. What do you like about yourself? And if you can't find anything, it can be, I like the way my toenails grow. Find something. If it's not 5 things, 1 thing. 1 thing. And tell yourself that you like what you see. And then create declarations about who you want to be. Tell yourself that in the mirror. If you want to add a little bonus, add epic music to it. But you don't have to, but that's another level. You can, it's awesome to say declarations with epic music. It's pretty cool. Okay, and then I already covered number 7. So let's go over really fast what you can expect when you are in integrity with yourself. So you're going to create a to-be list, not a to-do list, a to-be list. And then if it's just 1 thing, just add 1 thing. Again, start small. But if it's 10 things, make sure you're doing 10 things. And if you can't get to 10 things, the next week, what went well, what didn't go well, what were you able to get to, what weren't you able to get to, and then prioritize, are those the things that you want to add into your next week? Are the things that you didn't get to? Were the things that you did get to on the list easy for you to do? Were they a habit? If they were, like I have on Mind Time with God, I don't actually need to put that on there because it's not hard for me to spend time praying and reading my scriptures and spending time with my higher power. So that's something that I put on there, but something that is harder for me to do is the meditation. And so I wouldn't put something that's easy on my list. It would be something that is a little bit harder that's going to help me to create the person I want to become. All right. So self-esteem will increase. Your courage will increase as you promise yourself that you're going to do something. So I used to run and I'm getting back into running, but when I very first started, I would tell myself as I was running and I felt tired, I promised myself I would go 3 more steps, or I would point out a landmark if I was jogging or running on the road. And I would say, I promised myself I'll make it to that car, or I promised myself I'll make it to that tree. And I would push myself just that much, just that tiny little bit more than I thought I could. And as I'm running now, I'm running with a friend and I tell her that, like, we are doing an app and she'll want to quit and I'll say 5 more seconds. And usually I'm about right. So I'm like 5 more seconds or just to that tree. And then typically our little program will say stop and walk or whatever, slow down and walk. Anyway, so your courage to do other things actually increases. Your inspiration will also increase as you act upon the things that you want to become, and you start little by little increasing your self-worth. Your inspiration will also increase on what it is you want to do or the direction you want to go. Also, your discipline will go up, even if it's just that little bit. I'm going to meditate today. And then as you mark it off and you get used to marking it off, your discipline increases, and then you can increase the things that you want to accomplish. Your intuition will increase, and then inner strength to deal with life. So inner strength means inside the strength to deal with the things that come at you from the outside world, whether it's from work, from family, from education, from other people. Your inner strength in how you deal with and process those things will also increase. So take a screenshot of this, and I'm going to go on to the mistakes people make. So common mistakes is if you create a to-do list or you're not in integrity with yourself, you tell yourself you're going to do something and then you don't do it. Common mistakes are, oh, well, I didn't do it. No big deal. Tomorrow's another day. I didn't do it because, so people give themselves excuses on why they didn't do it, or they blame others. This is a huge one, huge. I didn't do it because the kids were crying. I didn't do it because so-and-so came over and they needed help. And so, blame, 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 blame. Now, this is again part of taking responsibility. And what happened? Maybe your neighbor actually did come over and have a tragedy, and that happened. But taking responsibility, saying, I chose to help them instead of work on myself. That's a huge difference between, oh, my husband came home early and so I didn't have time, and he told me I needed to do this, 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 and this because he couldn't get to it. Ooh, sorry. Hopefully that wasn't loud. Anyways, and to not blame others. Don't blame other people, and don't give yourself excuses. That is not the same as taking and explaining what happened. Okay. Not creating a list at all. That's another common mistake. Those who fail to plan to fail. Those who fail to plan what they want to accomplish in their life plan to fail in their goals. So make a list and then keep track of that list. Did you fall short? If you did, it's okay. But a lot of people are just like, oh, well. Another common mistake is overscheduling yourself so that you can't get to your to-be list. Not saying no to other people. I used to be the yes man. Man, you asked me to do something and I didn't even look at my schedule. I didn't even look at my planner. I didn't even talk to my husband. It was always yes. And then I was always stretched thin. And as a result of being stretched thin, I was thicker. Okay. All right. Not saying yes to yourself. So this goes along with not saying no to other people. Is when you don't say no to other people, you're telling yourself no. So if you're the yes man, then you're telling yourself no. And I'm not saying don't do anything. One of my love languages is acts of service and quality time. And so I love saying yes to people, but you have to remember what it's about. Okay. It's about you having self-worth and finding worth within yourself, and thus having a higher self-image and a higher self-esteem. All right. Thinking others' agendas are more important than yours. This is a huge one with some of my clients, is that they think that other people's problems are theirs. I used to have this problem. So, quick story. There was a time when I had a friend that was going through a hard time with her spouse, with her ex. Anyways, and I was so involved in thinking that their problem was so important that I was putting it on my marriage. And my husband was like, what does their problem have anything to do with us? And I had to kind of woke me up. I had to kind of shake myself and be like, oh my gosh, I am thinking that their issues are my issues. Do not take on other people's issues. I had a client who called me and he was like, I just got fired. And at first I thought, what are we going to do about this? And then I had to no, this is not a we, it is a me. I need to talk and see what happened and then brainstorm ideas and brainstorm goals, and so that he could figure it out. So don't own other people's stuff, and don't think that their stuff is more important than your stuff. That is not the case. Okay, making time to do the things that you list on your to-be list. Okay, making time is so important. Whether that's, hey, you know what, I work 40 hours a day, get up 5 minutes earlier, put one thing on your to-be list and spend that 5 minutes doing that one thing. You will find that your self-worth and your time and your relationships in different things, money, time, self, others, will heal as you work on these things. Okay, what you can expect if you don't do the things that we've talked about. Your core values, so talk about a foundation, right? Your core values, your foundation becomes out of alignment. And when you become out of alignment, there's issues in communication, your self-worth goes down, your thoughts become unsure. You feel how you feel about your life and your mission takes a back seat. Takes a back seat. And as I am your mentor through having you being able to live your life mission, it is so important that you make time, even just that 5 minutes, so that your value doesn't go down on what it is that you're here to perform, that you're here to add to other people's lives. All right. You're also more susceptible to other people's opinion. This goes back to doing your self-mirror work, is when you don't tell yourself what to think, how you want to be, doing your declarations. When you don't do those things, you're more susceptible to believing what is said in the media, what other people do when they say or do when they criticize you. You're more susceptible to other people's opinion. And I have one mentor who says, stay out of other people's goop. Good opinion of other people. Okay, stay out of their opinion. And you can do that simply by being in integrity with yourself. And then if you don't, you start to question your gut feeling. So a lot of feelings, we have a head space and a heart space. We also have a gut space. Like it just doesn't feel right, right? This is a heart and gut issue. And so, or that just, I know because I know, and I can't explain why. Those are all gut feelings, okay? You feel with your heart as well as your second heart, your second brain, your gut. And these two together come together, and you just have that gut feeling. If something feels right or doesn't feel right, that feeling, that intuition it starts to go down and you start to be out of alignment of what it is that you're truly feeling. Yeah. And so these are things that you can expect if you don't do the things that we've talked about today. If you're out of integrity with yourself and you have a low self-esteem, don't do big, grand things. Don't feel like you have to. Now, if you have time, I'm going to go back to this one. If you have time to, I said, don't set times on your list. And this is really important because I just want to re-emphasize, you can start small, meditate for 30 seconds, or you can learn to meditate for an hour or 2 or 3 or whatever it is that you want to do. But don't feel like you have to start big in order to make a big difference in your life. I'm going to say that again. Don't feel like you have to start big in order to make a big difference in your lives. A lot of things start with the small and simple. The cracks in the foundation can be cemented over and healed simply by being more intentional and in alignment with yourself. All right, family. I hope you like this training. I hope you watch it and leave a comment underneath. And if this has added value to you in your life, I invite you to add other women to this page and to like and to share. Oh, I don't think you can share it, but share the page with your loved ones and let's build our community. All right, you guys, I will talk to you later. Bye.